Let's go run a half marathon and a full marathon here at Disney World and complete the Dopey challenge. Hello and welcome to part 3 of my Dopey Challenge series here at Disney World. If you guys haven't been following along, Lucas and I have been spending the last few days here at Disney World in Orlando, Florida. We're spending a week here at Disney World running all the magical miles through RunDisney. I signed up for the Dopey Challenge, which if you're not familiar, is the 5K, 10K, half marathon, and full marathon all on back-to-back days. So that's 48.6 miles across 4 days. Lucas also signed up for the full marathon, so he'll be joining me on Sunday to run that one. For this vlog, we are kicking it off here the night before the half marathons. Today is Friday, January 10th, and we are kind of getting things ready here at the hotel at Pop Century. Disney World Marathon Weekend is always filled with all the feelings, all the emotions, and so I'm definitely feeling super excited about tomorrow's race, but also very nervous. If you guys haven't seen my Dopey Challenge video from 2024, which was last year, the half marathon race was actually cut short to half of a half due to weather conditions. So it was storming so badly that they ended up shortening the course to mile 7. And so I did the remaining miles here at Pop Century, kind of around the track here. While I did complete the Dopey Challenge last year, I do feel like this week is in many ways a redemption experience. So that way I can get the full Dopey Challenge adventure. And so tomorrow's race is really special to me. I'm very excited, but again, very nervous. It's kind of new territory for me. We're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna bring you guys along for the ride. I have no idea what to expect tomorrow, but again, I will capture all the memories as we do it. I wanted to take a quick moment to talk through the things that I'll be bringing with me for tomorrow's half marathon race in case that's helpful to any of you who are watching and who may be preparing for your own half marathon race here at Disney or just half marathon in general. I've kind of taken some learnings from last year's races, but also the 5K and 10K from this week. And so I think I've perfected all the things that I pack with me. Obviously, this is kind of personalized to each runner. In case it's helpful, I will show you what I am packing in my fanny pack for the half marathon distance tomorrow. So I quickly laid out all the things that I'll be bringing along with me in this fanny pack. I love using the Lululemon belt bags. So for things I'm packing tomorrow, I did put gloves here, but I actually don't think I'll be needing these tomorrow. But I will bring hand warmers for the corral. I usually have a smaller Ziploc for Tylenol tablets, but this is all I have. I do pack a few tablets of Tylenol with me for every race just in case, as well as a Gas X tablet, a couple of extra hair ties, chapstick, extra contacts, eye drops. I will be packing my Cola Goos. I use these for every race. I will obviously be bringing more than one. I'll also be bringing a Honey Stinger Energy Waffle. I have this in the corral. New to this year, but not new to the October Marathon. I really enjoyed having this really thin portable charger and cord. Also new to my setup for runs are my Shocks headphones. I actually got these for Christmas, so they're very, very new to me. I actually first tried them out during this week's 5K, and then I also used them for today's 10K, and I've really enjoyed them. I also like to pack some tissues, especially since the last couple of races have been colder. I'll also be using Lucas's Garmin to keep track of my projected time, and then I will also be wearing a headband. I wanted to include this because for the last 2 races I've been wearing beanies. So that is pretty much all that I'll be packing into my fanny pack tomorrow morning. Believe it or not, it does all fit. Tomorrow's race is going to be in the low 60s, which is colder than previous RunDisney races that I've done in the past. Typically, they get pretty warm here in Florida, but it will be the warmest race of this week. And one item that I absolutely cannot forget to bring tomorrow is going to be my Mylar blanket or heat sheet, whatever you'd like to call it. RunDisney does hand these out at the end of every single race. The reason why it's important, especially for tomorrow, is because not only will it keep me warm, it will also hopefully keep me somewhat dry. There is a weather prediction for rain tomorrow morning, which is unfortunate, but the good news is that there's no thunder and lightning, and that's what kind of rained out the experience last year. So there will be some rain. They say light rain while we're in corrals around like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. So we're gonna see if that happens, but if it does, I'm hoping that the Mylar will keep me as dry as possible, keep my shoes dry before the race officially starts around 5 a.m. a.m. and I think my crawl starts at like 5:30 a.m. Fingers crossed that all goes well in the morning. I'm definitely feeling very nervous about it, but at this point, it is what it is. We'll just embrace whatever weather we're given and we will work through it. I'm gonna go ahead and get some much needed rest. Hopefully I can get more than 4 hours of sleep tonight, and then I will check in with you guys in the morning for half marathon day. We completed the half marathon, 13.1 miles completed this morning. This is the medal. I'm so excited to show you guys because I think this is my favorite Run Disney medal that I own. I am a big fan of Donald Duck, so that helps. I just think it's so cute with Donald and Daisy holding up the medals and Epcot Spaceship Earth in the background. I am so proud of this medal. This morning's race was a tough one mentally. And I want to give you guys a quick recap before we head to the parks today. Today is Animal Kingdom Day. But again, before that, I want to share a little bit about the experience. This morning was a little bit of an earlier wake-up call, mostly because the corrals opened at 3:15 a.m. versus 3:45 the last two races. And so for this race, I was Corral F instead of Corral D. I was in Corral D for the 5K and the 10K, but for the half marathon and the full marathon, I will be in Corral F. Because there's only one other corral after me, which is G, I did get a little nervous about that, and so I decided to rope drop the corral opening at 3:15 a.m. So I ended up waking up around 1:45, got to the bus by 2:15, got to Epcot by 2:30, and then there's like a really long walk over to the starting corral area. So I made it just before 3:15 a.m. and I propped myself up at the very front of Corral F. I would say that it was a pretty comfortable spot. It was over on the left side, which is where they usually funnel you through. I was ready to sit it out until our 5 to 5:30 a.m. start time, but what made it not very comfortable was the rain. It started to kind of lightly rain, and so everyone was like, oh boy, here it comes. And so we all kind of got our Mylars and ponchos and all that kind of stuff ready. I'm kicking myself now because I should have packed a poncho last night. There I was with just a Mylar over my head. I'll insert some photos. I thought it was kind of funny. It was wet. I think I did a decent job keeping my shoes and socks dry, but after a while there were just puddles forming on the ground. Around 5:15 we all stood up, and it did start to let up around 5:30, so by the time we were actually like tossing the Mylars and getting ready to the start line, it wasn't raining anymore. As for the race itself, it was a lot of fun. I had a blast. I love being able to run through Magic Kingdom as well as a little bit of Epcot, and so it made the rain in the morning all worth it. Just running down Main Street and seeing the castle at the very end is just a moment that is just pure joy. There was one difficulty point, I would say, and that's like shortly before you enter Magic Kingdom. I believe it's the Grand Floridian Walkway. The course definitely narrows there, and then they decided to put a water stop there as well. It was like almost at a dead stop. Those are the only two kind of like cons or negatives of the experience that I can even think of, was just like the rain in the corrals and that tight congested area. But of course, all of the pros and all of the joy definitely outweighed all of those negatives or cons, and so I had a totally great time. I feel really good today. I was expecting my calves or my quads to feel sore, but they actually feel really great. They feel way fresher than they did this time last year, and so I'm celebrating that. It was a lot of fun to see the cast members of Pop Century welcome us back from the race with an array of cheers and free waters and these pins that I've been collecting. They've also given them out for the 5K and 10K distances as well. So I went ahead and collected my half marathon distance today. It's just so special. I don't know if other resorts do these kinds of things for their Run Disney runners, but I love that Pop does it. That pretty much wraps up this morning's half marathon experience. I've been talking a lot, and I'll be honest with you that I am getting pretty hungry, and so Lucas and I are gonna go head out the door to get some lunch. I think the plan is to stop by Animal Kingdom and Epcot today, and so we will bring you guys along to where the day takes us. Let's head to the parks. And we are back from our park day over at Animal Kingdom and Epcot. Wanted to quickly recap that experience for you guys. I showed some B-roll, but basically what we ended up doing is going to Animal Kingdom, and we were going to do the Kilimanjaro safaris, but the wait was like 70 minutes long. We were going to do Navi, but then it was like 65 minutes long. You get the trend. And so ultimately we ended up not doing any of the attractions at Animal Kingdom. We just kind of went over to Tree of Life. We got some coffee and some tea. We kind of walked around. Lucas got his favorite soft serve ice cream over at Ananda Pur ice cream truck, and then we went over to Dino Land. Now we don't always go to Dino Land, I'll be honest. When we go to Animal Kingdom, we don't always go to Dino Land, but they are going to be replacing Dino Land in the next year or two, and so we wanted to go ahead and pay our respects to Dino Land one more time, kind of soak it in, because I think the next time we're here at Disney, it's going to be in renovation mode. While we were there, we ended ended up getting in line to take pictures with Donald because the half marathon distance is themed with Donald Duck and Daisy. And so although Daisy wasn't there, I went ahead and took a picture with Donald Duck and my medal, got that checked off the list. And then after that, we went over to Epcot. We ended up trying somewhere new for lunch over at Epcot. We went over to the Italy Pavilion and we stopped at Via Napoli Restaurant and Pizzeria. It was about a 30-minute wait for the two of us, which wasn't too bad. And so we went in line, waited our turn, and then ended up having a sit-down experience, and we carved up. Lucas got the spaghetti and meatballs, and I got the manicotti, and both were delicious. And so we are carved up. We're feeling pretty full from lunch, but the plan for dinner later is to maybe get some pizza, further the carb load later tonight before we go to sleep. Overall, park day, 10 out of 10. It was super relaxing, a lot more rest, which is exactly what I was hoping for and what I was hoping today would be, given that the full marathon will be tomorrow morning. The plan now is to kind of get everything set up for the morning. Race start time is actually going to be 4:30 a.m. instead of 5 a.m. Corral F will probably start around 5 a.m., 5:15 a.m. An earlier start time means an earlier wake-up call, and so I'm going to quickly get the flat lay ready. I'll show you guys what our outfits are going to be for tomorrow. I love them. So these are our outfits for the marathon distance tomorrow. Went ahead and laid them flat on the floor here for our flat lay. So like last year, we are going as Dopey and Sleepy, but these are new shirts. I thought it was fun that on the back of this one, it says Dopey, and on the back of this one, it says Sleepy. I just feel like it's very relevant to the Dopey challenge for Lucas and I. Lucas will be wearing his Saucony hat, sunglasses, and bringing his AirPods. He typically uses these Viore shorts, and he has a Hoka feature setup just like me. I will be wearing my Nike shorts, and then I went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to wear the black long sleeve underneath these t-shirts because the weather is predicting mid to high 40s, and then it'll kind of increase over time to maybe mid 50s. And so overall, kind of on the cooler side. Of course, the Lululemon belt bag that I showed you guys. I use Gooder sunglasses, my Shocks, and then a purple headband to top it off. And those are our outfits for tomorrow morning. I am so excited for marathon day. It feels surreal that day 4 is finally arriving in just a few short hours. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and grab some dinner so that way I can get some rest tonight. We have a 1:45 a.m. wake up call tomorrow morning, so wish us luck and let's go run a marathon. we completed our third Disney World Marathon and my second Dopey challenge. As you guys can see, we are back home here in Chicago. It's been many weeks later since racing over at Disney World. Even though some time has passed, I am still feeling so proud of Lucas and I for completing all those magical miles. I will say that even though this was my second time completing the Dopey challenge, it was very different compared to last year's experience. I'll start off by saying that it was definitely a colder week than years past, but honestly, I'm just really glad that the half marathon distance didn't get rained out this year like it did last year, so I was happily able to complete the full mileage of the Dopey challenge on course this year. Another thing that was a little bit new to this marathon distance compared to last year's and the year before that, as you enter Magic Kingdom, you now go through the Grand Floridian Walkway, which, as you guys saw during the half marathon, that section got really congested during that point, but thankfully during the marathon that did not happen, so they were able to figure out the spacing there. Another new thing about Magic Kingdom during this course is that once you go through Main Street and you run towards the castle, which of course is still my very favorite part, instead of going right towards Tomorrowland, you actually go left towards Adventureland now. It seems like a really subtle change, but it really felt like you maximize your experience in Magic Kingdom. I felt like we were there for a really long time, so I'm really happy with the change there. After running through Magic Kingdom though, there was this new parking lot section that I am not too thrilled about. I really felt like they could have zhuzhed up that section with maybe more music, maybe more characters, but they definitely made up for it around mile 14 and 15, where they actually made a Star Wars mile. I am so excited that they added that this year. I hope they do it every single year. We got to see Darth Vader. They had some like Star Wars ambiance sounds from the movies playing. They had a fog machine. I really enjoyed that. The biggest low for me happened after running through Animal Kingdom and before getting to Hollywood Studios. I feel like that tends to be a lull point for me. There's a lot of road. We've gotten a lot of miles in at that point, and so I definitely hit the wall around mile 20. I felt like I had the strongest half marathon that I've had during a marathon distance in a really long time. At the halfway point last year, I was at a much worse place. Not only was it like a physical challenge, of course, but I also think there was an added mental battle for me knowing that the balloon ladies weren't that far behind us. There's always this fear of the balloon ladies, but now that I have some experience running in Corral C and E, if I ever get E or above, I know that I'm fine. But this year I was an F and the balloon ladies were in G, and so just knowing that I only had one corral away from being swept, that kind of took a toll on me. I ended up pushing myself through the last 6 miles, maybe a little bit harder than I would have in years past. Looking back now, I wish I could go back and tell myself that I had so much time and that I wasn't at risk of being swept, even if I walked more. You know, now I know for future races that if I ever get into Corral F, I'm okay. I didn't even celebrate until I saw the finish line. Once I crossed, I just like full tears. Just started crying. Lucas and I were laughing because like I cried when we crossed the finish line. That's on brand. Once I got my Dopey medal, I cried again. And then once we started taking pictures and I started reading all the messages from family, I cried again. And so I was just like a happy tear mess at the end of this experience. And it's physically exhausting, but I think for me too, this race weekend was a very redemptive experience. I won't spend too much time diving into the details here, but this accomplishment really happened during a time when my self-belief and my self-confidence was a little bit more shaken. So in hindsight, it kind of makes a lot of sense that I was so emotional at the end of the race. This challenge really served as a love letter to myself. It reminded me that I was capable of doing really difficult and challenging things. Saying that I'm proud of myself is a total understatement. Despite the colder temperatures, sore feet, a rainy corral before the half marathon, and the early wake-up calls, I am so excited that I pushed through and I collected the medals to celebrate it all. Which reminds me, before I forget, I did want to show you guys a close-up of all the medals that we got after the marathon distance. I'll start off with the actual marathon medal. Like every year, it features Mickey and Minnie for the marathon distance, and this is what this year's medal looks like. They do kind of move slightly. I love it. Has some weight to it too. Up next is the Goofy medal, which you get if you run the half marathon and the marathon back to back. Because I completed the Dopey challenge, I automatically complete the Goofy challenge. So this is what this year's medal looks like. Has Goofy and he's holding his 3 medals. And then of course, drum roll please, is the Dopey challenge medal. The shirts this year are themed around the design of the medal as well, but it is this guy and it is heavy. I'm not gonna lie, it's heavy. Wearing this around the parks after the race was an experience. But this is what this year's medal looks like. Has Dopey front and center, 48.6, 2025. But what's even cooler about this medal is that it opens into saying finisher inside. So fun. I'm obsessed. Can't wait to put it up on my wall. I want to take a moment to say that if you are considering running the Dopey Challenge or the Disney World Marathon or the Goofy Challenge, but you're kind of intimidated about what that mileage will look and feel like, my advice to you is to dream big and allow yourself the opportunity to try, because you just might surprise yourself. Back in 2022, when I first signed up for my first full marathon, I thought it was a one and done, and I never would have imagined that I would be 4 marathons later and 2 Dopey challenges. If you at all have a little bit of curiosity to see where your capabilities lie in running these races, I highly recommend that you look into that curiosity and lean in a little bit. Besides, I've discovered that the real challenge in the Dopey challenge isn't even the mileage. That's the fun part. The challenge is waking up every morning before 3 a.m. I think for me at least, that was the biggest challenge of the Dopey challenge this year. And on that note, thank you so much for joining me on another Dopey challenge adventure. I had so much fun spending the week running more magical miles over at Disney World, and I had a lot of fun bringing you guys along with me. Usually at this point in the video, I like to share which races are up next, and to be perfectly honest with you guys, I may or may not be signing up for the Dopey challenge next year. I told myself that I was going to take a break, but who knows? So stay tuned if I will be signing up for Dopey 2026. In the meantime, I am really excited to share that we have an international trip coming up later this month. From the time that I'm posting this video, it will be 2 short weeks until we travel to a brand new country. We have never been to this country before, so I am so excited to bring you guys along on this new adventure overseas. I've really been spending the last few months carefully planning this itinerary, and so I am so excited to announce and share with you guys very soon. So get excited with me, because I really think you guys are going to enjoy the travel vlogs that are coming up next. So until the next one, I'll talk to you guys soon.